When the first Caliph, Hazrat Abu Bakr, passed away after just 2 years of leadership, he left the fate of the Muslim Ummah in the hands of one man, Umar bin Khattab. Today, Islam is the fastest growing religion on earth, followed by nearly 2 billion people, and not a single second passes without the call to prayer, adhan, echoing somewhere in the world. Much of this legacy traces back to the sheer will and leadership of Hazrat Umar. But how did a simple man from the tribe of Banu Adi become the most powerful ruler in human history? To understand his rise, we have to look back at the complex web of power in ancient Mecca. For centuries, the city of Mecca was controlled by a single tribe, the Quraysh. Over time, the Quraysh divided into several sub-tribes, each assigned specific responsibilities to maintain peace. There were 3 dominant families. First was the Banu Hashim, the tribe of Prophet Muhammad, Pomage, who held religious power because Mecca was the center of Arabian faith due to the Kaaba. Their leaders were Abdul Muttalib and later Abu Talib. The second powerful tribe was the Banu Umayyah, famous for one thing, money. They controlled Mecca's economy, led by Abu Sufyan. The third was the Banu Makhzum, a family of warriors. They planned every war and possessed the most weapons. Their most powerful leader was known as Abu Jahl. However, Hazrat Umar did not belong to any of these 3. He was from the Banu Adi, the tribe of ambassadors and spokespersons. They were the mediators who resolved tribal conflicts through debate. His father, Khattab, was their leader. This is where Umar gained his ability to resolve complex issues through dialogue. But there was another side to his personality, a fiery temperament that we often hear about. This trait came from his mother, Hantama bint Hisham, who was not from Banu Adi, but from the warrior tribe of Banu Makhzum. To understand this mindset, you only need to know that the legendary general Khalid bin Walid was Hazrat Umar's cousin. Effectively, Umar learned how to handle people with words from his father, and how to handle those who didn't listen with strength from his mother's side. Years after becoming the leader of the world's largest empire, Hazrat Umar was walking through the outskirts of Mecca, where he used to herd camels as a child. He remarked, "What is the glory of Allah? There was a time when I herded camels here and my father would beat me for the slightest mistake. And today, there is no one between me and Allah." At that moment, he was the most powerful man on earth. Hazrat Umar was born 12 years after the Prophet's PBUH. He was exceptionally tall and muscular, becoming a famous wrestler in Mecca. It is said that when he walked in a group, it looked as if everyone else was on the ground while he was riding a camel. In modern terms, his height was approximately 6'6" or 6'7". For context, if you look at the average height of world leaders today, the height difference between Hazrat Umar and an average person would be even more striking. He eventually took over the leadership of Banu Adi and became a talented ambassador, traveling frequently to Yemen and Syria for his import-export business. When he was 27, the Prophet Taj announced his prophethood. As a spokesperson for the Quraysh, Umar, R.A., initially opposed Islam fiercely, standing with his maternal uncle, Abu Jahl. Before Islam, his reputation involved many anti-Islamic activities, including drinking and gambling. His hatred for the new faith was so intense that he once beat his own slave for converting until he himself became exhausted. However, his heart began to soften over time. One day, he saw Abu Jahl beating a slave until they were almost unconscious. Seeing that no one helped, Umar went forward and assisted the slave. The slave told him, "By Allah, you are the better of the two," referring to the Prophet's prayer. "O Allah, bring one of the 2 Umars to Islam, Umar bin Khattab or Umar bin Hisham, Abu Jahl." Frustrated by the growing influence of Muslims, Umar finally decided on a path no one else dared to take. He resolved to assassinate the Prophet, PBUH. Sword in hand, he headed toward Dar al-Arqam, the Muslim headquarters. On the way, he met his best friend, who had secretly converted. To divert him, his friend said, "Check your own house first." Umar rushed to his sister Fatima's house and found her and her husband, Said bin Zaid, reciting the Quran. Said bin Zaid was not only his brother-in-law, but also his cousin. His father Zaid had rejected Meccan idolatry even before Islam, searching for the religion of Ibrahim. When Umar entered, he began beating Said. When his sister tried to intervene, he struck her too, drawing blood. Seeing his sister bleeding, He felt remorse and asked to see what they were reading. After reading the Quranic verses, his heart transformed, and he embraced Islam. He went back to Dar al-Arqam. The Muslims inside were terrified seeing him with a sword, but Hazrat Hamza said, "Let him in. If his intent is good, fine. If not, I will behead him with his own sword." Inside, the Prophet asked, "Umar, is it not yet time for you to understand the truth?" Umar accepted Islam right then, and the mosque echoed with cries of Allahu Akbar. He was 32 or 33 years old at the time, and his conversion brought the number of Muslims to 50. Umar's conversion changed everything. While others hid their faith, Umar went straight to Abu Jahl to announce his conversion. He then went to Jamil bin Mamar, the loudspeaker of Mecca, knowing Jamil couldn't keep a secret. Within minutes, the whole city knew. Muslims who used to pray in secret now prayed openly at the Kaaba. After years of sacrifice, he migrated to Medina. There, he was paired with an Ansari companion. They took turns. One day one would work while the other stayed with the Prophet to learn, and they would switch the next day. He fought in the Battle of Badr under the leadership of Hazrat Hamza. After the victory, his opinion on prisoners of war was later supported by a Quranic revelation, earning him the title Al-Farooq, the one who distinguishes truth from falsehood. He remained at the Prophet's side through the battles of Uhud and Khandaq. During the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, he was initially confused by the seemingly weak terms of the deal. He even asked the Prophet PBUH, "Are you not the true messenger? Why are we being weak?" The Prophet replied, "I am the messenger of Allah, and I do not go against his command." Later, seeing the massive success that followed the peace, Umar spent years seeking forgiveness for his questioning. When the Prophet passed away, Umar was in such shock that he drew his sword and threatened to kill anyone who said the Prophet was dead. He couldn't believe it because the Prophet had promised they would conquer Rome and Persia. It was Abu Bakr who calmed the crowd, reminding them that the mission of Islam continues. To maintain stability, Umar was the first to take the oath of allegiance to Abu Bakr, making him the first caliph. As the second in command, Umar was like a prime minister. After the Battle of Yamama, where many who had memorized the Quran were martyred, it was Umar's idea to compile the Quran into a single book format. Every Quranic book today owes part of its existence to his foresight. Under Abu Bakr, Muslims attacked the Persian Empire and later the Roman Empire. Khalid bin Walid was moved from the Persian front to the Roman front, where he surrounded Damascus. However, a conflict arose. Khalid was a general who made his own decisions before informing Medina, a habit Umar disliked. When Umar became caliph, he made the controversial decision to remove the world's greatest general from his post. When Abu Bakr fell terminally ill, he consulted the Sahaba about a successor. They suggested he choose. He asked about Umar, some worried about his harshness. Abu Bakr defended him, saying, "Umar is only harsh because he sees me as soft. When he becomes leader, he will change." In his final moments, Abu Bakr had Hazrat Uthman write the decree appointing Umar as the next caliph. Umar's caliphate changed world history. In just a few years, he established an empire and a governing system so robust that 1400 years later, most of those regions remain under Muslim rule.